Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Talking Chronos. In this video, I want to share a few tips on how you can get the Rolex of your dreams directly from an authorized dealer or AD at retail. Now, I've been lucky enough to acquire a highly coveted Rolex configuration without prior purchase history, and I've also been able to help friends acquire their dream Rolexes from the same AD. And through this video, I want to share with you how I did it and provide some general tips to possibly help you get the Rolex of your dreams. Now, as a disclaimer before we get started is that I don't consider myself an expert, and this is by no means a guarantee that you will get a Rolex allocation immediately. Now, none of this is groundbreaking, and there's obviously no guaranteed formula here that works every time. These are just some basic steps that anyone can follow. It's what worked for me personally, and there's a good chance that it might work for you as well. Step 1. Do your research. The first thing you want to do is some basic research before visiting an authorized dealer. I know this step might seem obvious, but it really helps to know what you're talking about. Spend some time on the Rolex website. It's actually really well laid out, it's easy to navigate, and provides a lot of great tools for you to browse different models and play with different configurations. You want to get a good feel for what fits both your style and your budget. You want to try and narrow it down to a couple of models you would genuinely love to own and not just whatever's hyped on Instagram right now. And here's an important tip. Try to figure out what you're not interested in and try not to lock yourself into one exact configuration and be a little bit open-minded. That way, when you're talking to your AD, you can be upfront about your preferences while still being a little flexible. Keep in mind that Rolex HQ ships watches to ADs globally, and the ADs don't have control over the inventory that they receive. Although your AD may put in an order for requested configurations, they may not receive any specific particular configuration for months or even years, as the process is somewhat random. Now, once an AD receives the shipment, there are likely many other existing clients interested in the very same configuration, and that's with multiple sales reps within a specific store. And that's where being open to a couple different configurations can definitely help improve your chances. So while putting down my interest, I let my AD know the configurations I definitely wasn't interested in, and also let them know my top preferences. That set a realistic tone right away. Plus, doing your research helps you stand out. Sales associates talk to people all day who just say, I want a Submariner. Or I kid you not, a submarine. I've actually heard someone say that in the store before. You'll instantly come across as more genuine if you actually know what you're talking about. For example, don't just say that you like the Submariner no date. Explain why. Is it the symmetry of the no date dial? The fact that it pays homage to the very first Submariner before the date window was introduced? Maybe you prefer the black dial and the bezel because they're more understated over the green bezel. Or the fully brushed bracelet because it feels more tool-like and less flashy than the GMT center polished links. Details like that show you're a serious buyer who's done their homework, and you'll be taken more seriously because of it. Step 2. Be realistic about your first model. Now, this one is big. If you're a first-time Rolex buyer, you have to be realistic with your expectations. The demand for Rolex is crazy. Specifically, steel and sports models are insane right now. Walking in and asking for a Daytona or a Pepsi GMT as your first watch isn't likely going to go anywhere, and the chances are ultra slim. If you're hoping to pick up your first Rolex in the next year or two, go for something a little bit more attainable like an Oyster Perpetual or a Datejust. These are fantastic watches, and they're much more realistic entry points, and an AD is much more likely to allocate one of these to a new customer without any prior purchase history. Now, if your dream is still that Submariner, awesome. Just know that it might take a little bit of time and patience, especially if you're starting from scratch with that AD. If you have some prior purchase history with an AD, you'll likely be further up the queue to be allocated the piece that you really want. And you might be thinking, well, how do I build a relationship or purchase history if I can't even buy a Rolex in the first place? Now, that's a fair question, and ADs often carry other watch brands or jewelry. So if you're already planning to pick up a piece of jewelry for yourself or your partner, or maybe that Tudor Blue Lagoon you've had your eye on, considering making those purchases through the AD. It helps you build a relationship with your sales representative and establishes you as a serious client. Now, don't buy random stuff just to try and earn a Rolex. I want to be clear, that's not the move. And if an AD starts pushing bundling, that's a big red flag. By bundling, I mean when an AD implies or outright says that in order to get access to a Rolex, you need to buy other watches, jewelry, or accessories first. Essentially, they're stacking purchases to prioritize certain clients. That's not standard practice, and it's highly frowned upon, and it's not something you should feel pressured into. And if you experience this, I'd move on immediately to find yourself another AD to work with. Yes, the system might seem a little bit broken, and I get that the dance can be a little bit frustrating. But if you want to acquire a new Rolex at retail without paying gray market prices, this is what you're going to have to do, and I promise guys, you guys will find an AD that will treat you right. Step 3. Decide which ADs to visit. If you live in a densely populated city like Los Angeles, Orange County, New York, or London, it's important to be realistic. Each AD in these markets is dealing with hundreds if not thousands of interested customers. Naturally, that makes it much harder for you to secure an allocation, and if it's reasonable for you, consider visiting an AD located in a smaller city. The AD I ultimately did business with was only a short drive for me, but it was much longer of a drive for a few of my friends who are also allocated their Rolexes. That alone should tell you something. Ultimately, demand is high everywhere, but you may have better odds at an AD in a smaller city versus one in a major metro area. There's simply more competition in densely populated markets. It's just simple math. Now, full transparency, I've also visited ADs in other cities and even different states or countries, and I haven't heard back from all of them. Traveling isn't possible for everyone, and that's completely fair, but if you can do it, I genuinely believe it increases your chances of getting an allocation. Once you decide on a city, I encourage you to visit all the ADs in or near that area. I know this isn't what ADs prefer, and they naturally want you to focus on their store alone, but as a buyer, it's reasonable for you to explore your options. That said, you can absolutely choose to stick with one AD, especially if your goal is to build a long-term relationship with them. Step 4. Visiting the AD. Now, I always recommend making an appointment in advance. Yes, walk-ins are welcome, but scheduling an appointment shows you're serious and ensures that there's dedicated time reserved for you and your experience. When you visit the AD, try to focus on making a genuine connection with the staff. Have a real conversation, not just about watches, and this is your opportunity to get to know them and the store on a more personal level. This visit isn't only about introducing yourself, it's about learning about the people and the story behind the AD. At the end of the day, it's a two-way street, and you want to feel comfortable with whoever you may be potentially doing business with. Personally, I appreciate history and design, so learning more about the company I'm dealing with is important to me. What I'm getting at here is that you should have something to talk about beyond just watches. It really can be anything, and I'll leave that up to you. One thing I would strongly advise is don't open the conversation by saying that you want a Daytona. If that's your grail, that's fine. Mention it later and frame it as something you'd love to own one day. Be open to other models, especially when you're just starting out. This is also the time to really dive in and try on the watches you've been eyeing. Getting a watch on your wrist is very different from reading specs online. Fit, weight, and overall feel can completely change your perspective. Again, let them know which models and configurations you truly want, which ones you definitely don't, and most importantly, why. If you can be flexible or open to configurations similar to your first choice, make that known as well. Now, a typical visit usually lasts about 45 minutes to an hour, and maybe sometimes longer if the conversation flows well, or if you try on watches from other brands too. And if you're hoping to get a watch for a specific occasion like a birthday, anniversary, or other meaningful life events, let the AD know. Be real and genuine about it. They do take these moments into consideration, and in some cases, it can help speed things up. Pro tip, don't make up a wild story just to try to get a watch. You'll come across as disingenuous, and trust me, they hear stories all day long and are very good at spotting fluff or BS. By the end of the visit, the AD will likely take down your details, preferences, and add you to their list. As mentioned earlier, if you're also in the market for another specific watch or a piece of jewelry and the AD carries it, consider purchasing it through them. It's a natural way to begin building that relationship. Step 5. Follow up with the AD. After your initial visit, it's important to follow up with your AD periodically. If possible, stop by the store every couple of months. This helps reinforce that you're local, genuinely interested, and still serious about owning that Rolex. Now, there's a fine balance here. You don't want to overdo it or become a nuisance, but keep in mind how many people walk through those doors every single day. Staying in touch and making the occasional appearance helps ensure that they remember who you are. It also puts you in a better position if an unexpected opportunity comes up, like if another client passes on an allocation. Sometimes timing and familiarity make all the difference. Step 6. Wait. Now comes the hardest part, the waiting game. If everything lines up, you might get the call within a few months, but it's important to understand that timelines are unpredictable. Some people get lucky quickly, while others wait much longer, even for the same exact model. During this time, patience is key. Continue living your life, enjoy the watches you already own, and don't obsess over timelines or consistently checking in. You've already done the important work, which is researching, visiting the AD, building rapport, and following up appropriately. At the end of the day, waiting is part of the current Rolex buying experience, and if and when the call comes, it'll make the moment that much more rewarding. Step 7. Getting the call. Finally, the day has come. The AD will let you know that the model you're interested in has become available. Respond promptly because most ADs will only be able to hold this model for you for a short period of time. Otherwise, it'll go to the next interested client in line. You'll then be able to make an appointment to go into the store to purchase the watch you've been allocated. Now again, I know that this dance and the entire experience can be infuriating and frustrating to some, but that's how it is, and it's what you have to deal with if you want to own a Rolex today. Step 8. Collect your watch. Now comes the moment you've been waiting for, collection day. Go down to your AD and pick up your beautiful new watch and take it all in. The AD will go over the watch details, walk you through the paperwork, warranty, and size the bracelet. It's a really awesome experience, and it's something you'll remember for a really long time. And the last step, of course, is wear it in good health and enjoy it. These watches are built to be worn, not just stored away. And that is, of course, until you get the itch to buy your next Rolex. Now, I want to keep creating fun and informative content like this, and I don't want to become just another generic watch review channel. I have plenty of unique ideas and videos lined up, and I'd love for you all to join the community, so please consider subscribing. Do you agree or disagree with these steps? Do you have any tips that work for you when you're trying to get your Rolex? What's your dream Rolex, and how long did it take for you to get the call, or how long have you been waiting so far? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you've enjoyed this video, please make sure to like, subscribe, and comment. It really does help the channel out, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.